to my channel. For those of you who don't know who I am, hi, my name is Izzy, and today I'm going to be talking all about my experience applying to my first corporate office kind of setting full-time job. And I'm also going to be giving a couple tips that I've gathered along the way as to how I secured my job, tips that have helped me with the application process. So let's just get right on into it. I did just want to mention before I start, I am still a student. I go to Ryerson for business management. I'm in my third year right now. And the reason that I am applying to jobs is because I'm in a co-op program where part of my graduation requirement is to have 4 work terms. So my first work term starts in January, and I just spent all of the fall semester, the current one, applying for roles. But these tips would most definitely apply if you are a graduating student. I don't have any office experience. I've never worked a full-time job, yet alone a corporate full-time job, so don't feel discouraged if you don't have any office experience. You can still get that first job. Basically, with my application process, we did have a portal with all of the jobs listed on it, and we were allowed to go beyond that portal and look through external links. So Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, through company websites, we were allowed to do that. I personally didn't, but all of my tips and everything do still apply to all of those websites since they are still online applications. And even with the portal that I have, I did have to complete a lot of applications through the company website. So all of the tips would most definitely still apply, and the minimum requirement for the job applications that we have to do were 5 to 10 jobs a week. So some weeks, depending on how busy I was, I did meet the minimum of 5, but some weeks I went beyond that. Obviously, the more that you can apply to, the better. It was actually pretty hard. The very first application I did was very time consuming. I think it took me about an hour and a half because I wasn't used to applications. I've had the same job for the past 3 or so years, so I haven't applied, I haven't done interviews, I haven't just done this process for a really long time. So coming into it at first was really difficult, but over time, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and I began to do it a lot faster, and I felt like my applications also got a lot better the more that I did. At first, I really wanted to get a job that I really wanted, but after some time I started to realize, the first job that I get would most likely not be the greatest. If it is, then I'm more than happy, and I did end up getting really lucky. I think that I'm gonna really like the job, but I wasn't really picky with where I was applying to. I applied everywhere that I had the qualifications for, even if it was like a finance role. I don't like finance, I still apply to it because any role is better than no role. Just to get your foot into the corporate setting is such a good head start, and then you can always look for other jobs that do fit your interests a lot better while you're in that job. It's just good to have something. So that was kind of my thought process. I was applying to every single job that I had the qualifications for. I applied to 53 jobs total, and the job offer that I got was the 17th job that I applied to. I did have 2 interviews. So the first interview was with a different company that didn't send me an offer. In that interview, personally, I don't think it went all that well. I kind of left that interview knowing that there was a high chance I wasn't going to get that job, because you can just kind of feel when the interviewer really likes you. And I know that he didn't hate me, but it definitely wasn't anything out of the ordinary. I felt like I was a very average candidate for that position. But with the second interview that I had, which is the job that I ended up accepting, it was a really great interview. I really left that interview feeling super confident that I got the role, and then I did end up getting the role. So that was really nice. Yeah, that's kind of on my application process. The main part of this video is the tips, because I don't really have that much to say about my application process. It was pretty standard. So let's just get right on into the tips. My first tip is actually to be organized. bringing out the handy dandy notebook. This notebook is my job application notebook, and I'm just the type of person who likes everything super duper organized. So I found that a notebook is a really great way to do that. And what I do with it is I basically number every single job. Okay, so the way that I explained it in the video wasn't all that good, so I'm just gonna do it here. This is the notebook. It's a very simple, basic notebook. It's also dirty that I just had lying around. You don't need anything special. So the first page, I made a checklist. So ignore that. I didn't actually do anything with that, but I color coded everything. So dark green is I heard back from the job. Red is I got an interview. This blue color is it's a winter job, so January to April. This green is a summer job, so April to August. And then purple is no interview, so I got rejected from the job. On this page, we have week 5, October 5th to October 11th. So these are all the jobs that I applied to on this week. And here, if we look at the TELUS job, so the job is at the company TELUS, and the position is business analyst, small business sales. I have the total numbers, so in total, this is the 29th job that I applied to. As you can see, after it goes 30, 31, 32. That's how I keep track of how many jobs I applied to in total. And then you'll see over here is a code that I give to each job. So TELUS, this role at TELUS is 5.1, and my job application package is titled 5.1. My cover letter is titled cover letter 5.1, and I know that everything with the number 5.1 is for this position. When you apply to so many jobs, it's hard to keep up with that job title, but the number is a lot easier. So the 5.1, the formula I guess that I used is it's week 5, the first job I applied to. For this job, it's job number 30, week 5, the second job I applied to, so it's 5.2. 31, it's 5.3, week 5, the third job I applied to, and it just continues. If we look at week 6, it now starts 6.1, 6.2, 6.3, 6.4. These squares show that it's a winter job. I also write down when I applied for it, just so I know. And then, for example, when I do hear back from a job, like right over here, this same 5.1, it's a winter and a summer role, and I heard back. That's what the green is, and then purple means I didn't get any interview. So that's just kind of how I color coded, and this really helped because I numbered all of my cover letters CV 6.5, CV 4.2. So I could go back and I knew which role that was for because I have it all written down. So I found that that really helped me when I got rejections. I could very easily locate what job I got rejected for, and I didn't lose track of any of my applications. I knew exactly how many roles I was applying to, which roles I was applying to, and it just made the process a lot smoother. So that's my first tip. My second tip has to do with cover letters. So cover letters, and this is a mistake that I made with my first application and why it took so long. Cover letters do take a really long time because you have to make a new cover letter for every single position because the skills that that position asks for are going to be different. Personally, I know that a lot of people change their resumes up as well. I found that the skills on my resume really embodied the main skills that I had. So the resume itself I never changed up, but the cover letter I did change. I made a new one for every single job. So what helped me with this, and I got to a point where my cover letters, I could do them while watching TV, while talking to people because it was so easy for me, is I made this master cover letter, this master document of kind of outlining the cover letter so that when I do make the cover letter, I could just copy and paste everything and I don't have to actually rewrite anything or write anything new. So what I did was I made an intro paragraph. I would change out the position and why I want that position. So obviously that I did have to write for each application. But then I made a list of every single experience that I had, all of my past jobs, all of my experience through school, every single experience, and I grouped it based on different skills. So I had a paragraph for analytical skills, I had a paragraph for critical thinking, I had a paragraph for leadership, I had a paragraph for teamwork, I had a different paragraph for all of my actual work roles that each had a couple different skill sets in them. And then I had a paragraph for all of my extracurriculars. So I had that paragraph written out so that when it came to applying, I could look at the job posting, I could see, oh, they require a leadership, so I would go to my leadership paragraph, I would copy it, I would paste it. And that just made the application process a lot easier as well, having that master cover letter, because I didn't have to rewrite anything. There were a couple occasions where I had to change a couple of words here and there. That's totally normal. Also, with the cover letter and the resume, you can put them into websites. I'm going to try to find that website and put it somewhere on the screen. But there are websites which will compare your resume and your cover letter to the job application, and they will tell you what adds up, what doesn't add up, what you're missing, because oftentimes their companies have a screening tool that they use that filters out the cover letters and the resumes that don't match. So if your cover letter and your resume isn't good, you may not even get the interview in the first place, even though you're more than qualified for the job. So that's a really great tool to use to make sure that your cover letter and your resume match up with the job description, and that your resume is even getting looked at, and that you're being considered for an interview for that job. So another tip that I have is to look through LinkedIn. If you aren't, LinkedIn has a lot of great positions that link you to the company website. Some of the roles say how many people have applied, so it's really great, because if you see that not a lot of people applied, you can go and you can apply to it. So I love looking at LinkedIn. Sorry, I just ran out of space and the lighting was getting a little bit bad, so I moved. But I'm carrying on. Another tip that I have is to search up the position that you do get an interview for, and then put interview questions after it. Just search it on Google, but I believe Glassdoor is the website that has a bunch of people who previously interviewed write about their experience with the interview, and they often list a lot of questions that got asked. And I did that for both of the interviews that I had, and I found that the results matched. The questions that they wrote on the website really did match with the questions that I was asked. And definitely prepare for behavioral questions, because corporate jobs it's very common for them to ask behavioral questions. So know your experience, know everything that you're writing on the cover letter. I wouldn't say to practice it that often or write it out and memorize it, because they can tell when you have memorized it, and they're not gonna like that really, because it would look kind of scripted. But definitely practice it and know what you want to say. Have a really good balance between professionalism and being personable, but obviously that really depends on who the interviewer is. If the interviewer is very, very strictly professional, don't go too personal. Oftentimes a lot of candidates have experience, but not all the candidates have the charm and the passion to learn and the personality that they want in their company. So that's very important, but it definitely depends on the interviewer. You're just gonna have to learn to read the interviewer a little bit and kind of see what goes best with that specific interviewer and what you think that they're gonna like from you. But definitely show a little bit of your personality. Let them know who they're interviewing is a person and not just, a resume. You are a lot more than your experience, and really your experience doesn't matter all that much, because a lot of the stuff that you're gonna do on the job, they're gonna train you in. What matters is how you explain the experience that you have. You should never focus on the experience that you lack, because if you focus on the lack, you're always going to find something. There's always something more you can have. There's always going to be another applicant with more experience than you, but that doesn't matter. You can't let that stop you, because at the end of the day, what matters is how you present yourself and how your experience comes through and what you've learned from your experience. So that's a lot more important. Definitely kind of figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. That's a very common question, and figure out how you worked on them. If you say that you're bad at something and you don't give the way in which you've improved, they're not gonna like that. You have to, every single negative thing you say, and don't get me wrong, saying weaknesses, understanding your weaknesses is a really great thing. Everybody has them, but you do have to say the way in which you've worked on it. just to conclude, apply to as many places as you can. The more the merrier. I applied to 53 jobs and only got 2 interviews, so you really just have to apply to as many places as you can. The more you apply to, the more chances you have. And if it is your first job, I wouldn't recommend being too picky. I would literally apply everywhere you are qualified for, and then you get your foot into the door, and while you're at that job you can always look for other jobs and apply somewhere else. But having that on your resume is already such a big bonus. And just be confident. They can tell when you are confident in yourself, and they can tell by the way that you present yourself. Go into the interview with a good mood. Go in there being like, I'm gonna get this job, I'm qualified, I have everything that they want plus more. And that attitude on its own is gonna give you a way better interview. Probably know this, but dress business formal. Don't dress like this, wear a suit or something. I wore a dress to my interview, the one that I got, and then the one that I didn't get, I wore a blazer. Good luck, manifest it, think that you can do it, and you definitely will be able to. I know that it's hard, but you got this. Believe that you do, know that you do, because you do. And hopefully it'll be a very smooth and easy process for you, and you will secure that job very quickly. I don't think that I have any more tips. I think that covers pretty much everything. If you have any other tips that I didn't mention, leave them in the comments. We're all here to help each other. We're all here to get those jobs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that anything that I said helped, and I wish you all the best of luck in your job applications, in finding a job. I know that it's hard, especially with everything going on with COVID. Believe me, I know it's hard, but you just have to put in that effort. You just have to keep on trying, and you just have to, not lose hope, because you will find something. I promise. I know it. I'm manifesting it for you. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that what I said helped. I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.